and welcome to Brainstorm, Saskatchewan's only skeptical podcast, where we talk about news, politics, science, and religion in a fun and intelligent way. This is episode 7, recorded on March 21st, 2014. I'm Corey, and discussing things with me tonight, I've got Lana, Mike, Destin, and Justin, with sound done by Dave from Roman Empire Studios. Did anybody read this article about the evangelicals who are trying to bring back the dead?
Yeah.
Yes.
I listened to a podcast that was talking about it.
Oh, yeah? What did they say?
I don't remember.
That's helpful.
Must have been a stimulating
Refresh my
podcast.
memory.
There's not much to refresh. Whatever state they're in, they actually gave them a license so they could cross police lines.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I did hear that they were looking for fresher bodies to try to resurrect.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought they were buying
their supply
dead
of
people.
Their supply of fresh dead bodies was kind of a problem for practicing the resurrections.
They actually found that the fresher, the better. They actually ran across one guy that wasn't dead, and they managed to resurrect him.
I'm sure that's much more effective.
It's
Of
easier
course,
that way.
he was the one conducting the inquiry.
Yeah.
No, but how do they propose that they're going to be resurrecting these people? What is the actual practice?
Prayer.
Yeah,
Prayer?
They surround them and pray.
Pray them back to life?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like a level 7 spell. Level 9 and
True resurrection, yeah. Level 9. You don't lose a point of con with true resurrection.
Yeah, exactly. Raised dead is just so last week.
It's level 5.
I think it's level 6.
Is it?
So I don't know what else to say about these crazy fucking guys resurrecting
People
the
that
dead.
think they can resurrect the dead. It seems to be a long lost art among Christians, and they're trying to resurrect the art.
See, any questions that I want to ask are far too logical for the subject matter.
It's pretty
Right.
clear that...
Like, have they done clinical studies before going right into practice?
Yeah, no, the
they
answer
done
is
it?
definitely a no.
They've done double blind. Or double
dead.
Double deads.
double blind, so they don't know what they're doing, and the corpse they're practicing on doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
Okay.
The upside is that the
you're
corpse
right.
doesn't
It's
care.
all been double blind.
It's all been blind.
And some have been given actual prayer, while other corpses
They're just given
Placebo
placebo
prayer.
prayers.
placebo prayer.
How does one differentiate?
It's all placebo, man.
That's a good question.
It's tricky.
That's a whole new can of worms.
It is tricky
Prayer as placebo.
to rock around.
Really?
It's sometimes a useful
Yeah, no, I heard.
Terrible.
No, it's a good song.
I suppose this question sort of dips into whether or not there's a soul. We could talk about that for a while.
For a long while.
Not really.
No, because the answer is 2 letters long.
Well,
Y-A.
the case against the soul is pretty easy to make. I don't think
So make it.
resurrection would work without it.
Okay, well, if the soul exists, then there was a limited number of souls, which is what the Bible says. And right now, there are more people alive on the planet in this moment than there ever has been in the history of mankind combined.
Are you saying there's more people alive right now than have died leading up to now?
In the last 2,000 years.
Okay.
And
Sorry, I was just qualifying that statement.
yeah,
Okay.
not ever, because, well, the world is only 5,000 years old.
That's
right?
what I thought you were saying.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
I think what convinces me is we have demonstrated that consciousness and brain events coincide. That without
Yes.
one, you don't have the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
As the brain gets damaged, consciousness...
Things change.
Yeah.
That's a minor point to it, yeah.
But we
More
can't-
there's more people alive then.
But we've demonstrated every aspect of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
your
for sure.
your memory is encoded. If you're the part of your brain that is responsible for memory gets damaged, you can't remember, and so on and so forth.
The issue, I guess, is in synthesis, because we understand brain activity well enough, but we can't replicate. Like, we can't perform resurrection ourselves.
We
so
need some
there is
evangelicals
a...
here.
Yeah, exactly. We need people praying.
Dave, would you?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So basically, the conclusion is no one
No.
can cast level 7 spells.
Right. Unfortunately.
Except in Dungeons and Dragons and things like that.
Another point that kind of parallels the whole resurrection thing and how disproving the soul is simply done because we're just a compilation of chemicals and chemical interactions through electricity. There was talk about this. I don't know what the name of the movie is, where the guy's about to die, so he basically gets his mind, his personality, everything uploaded into a computer. And they were actually talking to some of the lead programmers and engineers that work in the field, and they say that tech is actually about 30 years away of being able to actually upload yourself.
Yeah.
But no matter what it is, it's just going to be a replicant.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's nonsense, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the entire idea of teleportation. It's the same thing.
I mean, if you could upload your consciousness into something, well, you could do it while you're still alive. Then you could talk to it.
Yeah.
It would still be it. You would
could
still be
talk
you.
to yourself.
That would not make you immortal. So you
Right.
don't upload your consciousness in any literal sense.
No.
You only create a duplicate.
So then the question is,
A cheap knockoff.
what?
Sure.
But what is the aspect of of consciousness that makes it singular?
What
That
do
you
mean?
could not have two consciousness, right? Because that's what they refer to as
You
a soul.
can.
When they're talking about a soul, they're talking about the idea of identity,
self,
of
yeah.
self-identity.
Yeah, identity,
right?
yeah.
And if you were to upload your consciousness and thereby lose it to another entity, right? As in, I would no longer myself experience the things that this new construct is experiencing, then the idea of a soul has some traction there.
Well, no, because you would be the alpha and you no longer exist. It would be a beta. It would be a copy.
Right, but that still doesn't bore down to what happens to me.
You cease to exist.
No,
Right.
You're right. It doesn't.
So but if you take all of the things that are me and you put them into a construct that replicates me perfectly, why do I cease to exist? We're not answering that question.
Well,
We're stating, yes, I cease to exist. And I
No,
understand.
You don't necessarily. That's an assumption that you're making.
Right.
Assuming that you cease to exist,
But
then
that's
what
the
happens
answer
to your
we don't.
consciousness?
That's the answer we don't have. That's the problem.
All we can really say is that we're not really 30 years away from uploading consciousness.
Right.
Because
Right.
we don't know
Right,
what that
absolutely.
means yet.
See, I put that on the same level as the whole teleportation thing of Star Trek,
Sure.
where if they take all of your particles apart and then process it into energy and then put them all back together somewhere else, that is not you.
They're destroying people and recreating new but identical people.
Yeah. Yeah, so that other you has a conscious. It's just not you. You are no longer.
It thinks it's you.
I'm in favor of teleportation.
I've actually almost mastered it. I can teleport. My range sucks, so it's 0. I just did it.
It makes me think of I'm reading Doctor Who and Philosophy.
Oh.
It's quite funny. They talk a lot about identity and how do you know that the Doctor is still the Doctor after he regenerates, and even though he sometimes loses memories, and then it gets even more convoluted when they interact with past them, and it's like, so now he has no memory of interacting with future him, but he's still the Doctor, and it's different incarnations. And
I'm so pleased I finally got into Doctor Who, so I know what the heck you're talking about.
Well, I think the way it works is the entire show is one timeline. So it's showing a linear line in time.
Well, yeah, clearly
in
the
a show
TARDIS.
where time isn't linear, but it's just following his singularity of linear time, or his construct of linear time in a non-linear timescape.
well, they refer to a couple episodes
Thingy.
from the old series, where like 3 or 4 different Doctors get stripped out of their timelines, and then the current Doctor, the one that's in the episode, has to go and rescue the other Doctors because he feels weird because his timeline is being screwed with. So it's you've got multiple identities with the same identity interacting with each other in different time streams. It's very interesting.
Difficult to follow.
Yeah.
On the subject of identity, though, I mean, he laments his own death. Even when he's going to turn into someone else, he laments it. I mean, he's sad. He knows he's going to die, in a sense.
Because he's no longer going to exist. A replicant will.
It's
He's
a
like,
different
well, it's
flavor
gonna be
of
someone
doctor.
else.
Wait, he gets resurrected.
That's why we're talking about it.
No.
Yay. Good way to bring it full
Welcome
circle.
to
So
the show.
somewhere in the basement of TARDIS in the TARDIS, there's a ring of people praying, and evangelical Christians are just hanging out.
That explains everything.
Everything.
So that's why it makes no sense.
No, Doctor Who makes lots of sense.
Yeah, it does, actually. I don't know. It's
Except
weird.
for the whole time travel part.
And multiple identities in the same person.
No, that's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's
And
people
meeting himself.
with
Wow,
diffuse
yeah, that-
identity disorder that go through that.
Yeah.
So
I'm just waiting for the antithesis when Vision Network does Pastor Who.
I don't think that works.
Travel around time in a confession booth.
I didn't spend 5 years in evil pastor school to be called Mister.
just so people know, Doctor Who is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it.
I've watched all of them that are on Netflix.
All of the newest
Have
season.
you?
Okay, I watched all the new ones that are on Netflix.
Oh, the
I haven't gone
2005
into the
show.
old
So now
ones.
you just have to go back to 1963
Yeah.
and start
I'll
watching
get
from there.
myself psyched up for that sometime. But
Don't psych yourself down for it. Trust
No
me.
way. It's actually wicked.
The first episode was terrible.
well, the first episode of
It's
the new one was
1963.
kind of sucky, too. The first episode of the new one, the first few was pretty low budget.
Well, look who they had acting as Doctor Who.
Hey,
No. What was his name? Christopher
Chris
Eccleston.
Eccleston.
Yeah.
Eccleston, yeah.
He was actually really good.
Said
President.
1963 is the original Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have parents that are younger than that show.
Yeah, 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that show, it was actually originally a BBC show for helping to teach kids science.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was originally for.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I have yet to watch an
Well,
episode,
just
and I
said
really
it.
should.
Of course you heard it.
Yeah.
Who's watched Cosmos?
The new one?
Did you just put
Well,
put up
yes.
your hand?
No.
No, he put up his drink.
Sorry.
Just for the benefit of anyone who happens to be listening, Destin put up his hand.
Which didn't make
Yes,
enough
I've seen.
sound.
I've seen Cosmos. I've seen the first episode.
I haven't seen
I
it
watched
yet.
the original series.
I need to get out watching it.
Yes, you do.
I'm gonna have to look up where to watch it. Okay, I'll look it up on the internet.
That's where
I
everything is.
did hear little stories about how there was one of the evangelical news or broadcasting stations that had bleeped out and jumped to some other programming while he was talking about evolution.
Is it just me or is it really weird that that's a Fox program?
I don't
Yes
know.
and no.
Simpsons is a Fox program.
Exactly. They make fun of Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
Fox
just seems really
News
weird.
that is wonky.
See, the thing
Some of
is,
their
at
programming
the end
isn't.
of the day, Fox is
Mike is nodding his head.
it's a business that relies on
Fuck you.
ratings. It
There's the explicit warning again.
short of the news, it doesn't take an ethical standpoint in the rest of its programming
Right, yeah.
per se.
Family Guy. That's
They won't-
Fox, right?
They won't put ethics over money.
No, clearly.
What, but I'm missing most of this conversation.
Yeah.
You're saying Fox won't put money over ethics? Or ethics over money?
They have
Ethics
the
over
Cosmos
money?
program.
Yeah.
So what does that mean about what their values are? And I guess their values are we like to make money, and this guy's kind of popular. So
Yeah.
that's the value.
Because they understand that controversy, even within their own network, generates public interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, I just wonder how Neil deGrasse Tyson feels about that because he knows how full of shit Fox News is.
But I don't.
How would it feel being?
I think
yeah.
he just thinks of it as science education for people.
No, I think
Yeah.
he probably thinks that it's awesome that he's doing it through Fox.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that'd be a great
That's a bonus
Shot
for
him.
him because you're reaching a whole different audience. They've got a lot of people that actually watch it, and a lot of people that are not accustomed to watching science education. So great, you just infiltrated the Fox audience.
I don't think that he's too politically invested in it. I think he's invested in it from a platform to teach. And that's because listening to him talk, he doesn't really buy in to the...
He's pretty political.
Well, no, he specifically says he's not political. Like, he takes his politics as far as he can out of it.
Yeah.
Well, right, unless it has to do with science.
Yeah, exactly. He's
In which
focused
case,
on the science.
ridiculously
He's a one
political.
issue.
Well, in America, yes.
Thing.
Yeah. He's a science guy.
Well, that's America's biggest problem.
So is Bill Nye. He's on the news all the time. He's the definition of science guy, actually.
Bill Nye, I just read an article about Bill Nye talking, saying something about him having an anti-GMO stance. I thought was weird.
No way.
Yeah. It was written by Michael Shermer, so I consider that fairly credible, and I was a little disappointed.
Well, did you read what the context is for it? Like, did you see any of that? Like,
Well, it
what his
just
stance revolves around?
it just basically says that he's been basically spreading. He's a spokesman for science, but then he's been coming out as being anti-GMO.
Which isn't necessarily in conflict. It just depends. It's an unfinished science. There's a whole lot that's unknown there. And you don't want to go off on wackadoo land and say all of it is bad just because it's modern. But, there may be certain components of it that will turn out to be, bad. Like thalidomide, Like everybody was like, oh, that's totally fine. And then, there's a whole bunch of babies that are got no arms. So, there's occasions, not frequent occasions, but there are occasions where something comes back to bite you in the ass.
You
If it
can say
wasn't for-
that about all altercations of any sort of plants that we eat.
Yeah.
The thing,
Doesn't matter if they're genetically modified.
Everything's
we've-
genetically modified.
Well, yes, in a sense. But we've
If it's
modified.
genetic, it is genetically
We've
modified.
we've modified the traits of plants and
We're talking
dogs
about
and horses
my field
for a
of
long
expertise, so that's cool.
Yeah.
time. Well, yeah. Well, and so you know very well that we've modified crops and
Oh,
we've
yes.
modified things from
So
Thousands of years.
for a
genetic-
very long time.
genetic modification is a bit of a misnomer because, yes, plants have... If we didn't modify plants, we wouldn't have any domesticated plants. But the genetic modification, strictly as it's used, is a particular technique used for inserting genes. Now, some of those genes, like the Roundup genes, don't occur naturally in plants or haven't until recently. So they took the genes out of bacteria and put it into plants so that it can metabolize glyphosate or Roundup. So it may turn out that a specific gene or a specific something that was inserted using that technology is bad. But I don't think that there's anything to suggest that the technique itself is causing the problems.
That's just it. If the technique isn't causing the problem and the problem lies in the chemical construction of it, the chemical makeup, you can say it about anything then.
Like salt.
Yeah.
Well, you can say it about any altercation in plants. 'Cause
Alteration.
the fact is they've all been altered over time.
True.
Well, and some plants, actually, when you eat them raw, there are some plants that are harmless and they're more harmful if you cook them. And all cooking is doing is altering the chemical composition of it through heat, right?
I have no idea.
Anyway,
Well, breaking down proteins and things like that.
yeah.
Which plants?
Well, one's the onion. Yeah, when you look at the onion, when you cut it in half, you have cell divisions, right? By themselves, they're harmless. But when you take away the one, I can't remember what berry it is, but the two sides, one is basically sulfuric acid, and that's what makes your eyes water, is the sulfuric acid in the onions. And the other side of that skin is something that can react with that sulfuric acid. And when you cook it, it produces a reaction that can give you indigestion, where raw onions won't, which is weird.
So the heat acts
So far.
as a catalyst
Yeah.
for a reaction
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah, it breaks down, I don't know if it's a protein bond between the two sides of the onion skin or that layer of onion or whatever, because,
It basically just allows a change of state that allows two chemicals to interact that wouldn't normally.
right,
We're
exactly.
getting way too in-depth on onions.
Onions are
many-
really interesting, actually.
There's many layers to this onion discussion.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we
That's
brought
what
you.
I'm here for.
That's
Yeah.
right. I was just listening to something about onions not that long ago. And it was an example of why
You're welcome.
the...
So was I.
This is all planned.
You read something
Okay.
about onions?
Yes, and the onion was used as an example of why you can't use the natural explanation for herbal remedies, because an onion, you cut one onion, it'll make you cry. The next onion you cut, it won't, because they grow and they have different different doses in each onion.
Different levels of
They
acidity
could be
based on the
from-
soil they're grown in.
They could have the same field, same exact field, side by side plants. One will make you cry and the other one won't, because there's no consistency with the dose of what's in
Inconsistent
it.
bastards.
The Onion's my favorite fake newspaper.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I have to say about onions.
One thing about GMOs I wanted to get into, GMOs, is there might be some current negative side effects, but without the current level of genetic modification that we're doing to our food plants, we would not have enough food. We currently don't have enough food.
No, we don't.
So if we had less food than we currently don't have enough of,
We can, in fact, produce enough food to feed everyone in the world right now.
oh yeah, stop eating cows.
It isn't
No.
particularly
We do.
Oh, eat bugs.
We could feed everyone in the world right now. We just don't.
And it isn't particularly necessary to use that particular genetic technique in order to improve plants, because there's numerous other techniques that are used. And because Europe basically does not allow any GMOs, all of our crop plants that we produce that we're sending to Europe are developed using different techniques. And those are, they're perfectly wonderful techniques that use technology that is up to date, but they're just not doing one particular gene insertion technology.
Is that like crossbreeding, cross-pollination, stuff like that? Yeah.
That and marker-assisted selection. So basically they can do a whole bunch of crosses, or even expose it to radiation so that you get more mutations than usual. And then they'll figure out some way of identifying the marker for a particular trait that they're trying to get. And then they can run all these through to find which one has that gene, and then just multiply that one.
So what I'm curious about
That's neat.
is
Yeah.
how
It
is
is. It's wonderful.
how is altering
And it's not
the
GMO.
genetic structure of a plant through radiation, and then
It's
and
not.
then,
That's not considered GMO. You can
no,
irradiate the hell out of the plant.
I realize that they're completely different. So
quite an interesting
so you nuke a
distinction.
plant
Yeah.
until the point where you get the result you want from this freak mutation out
Yeah.
of it, and you can grow all of those you want, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But if you selectively decide which genes are going to be in a plant
And splice it.
and splice it,
Yes.
It's
so
bad.
so everything is completely determined, that's bad.
Seems that way.
I just wanted to clarify how stupid that sounds. That's all. Because to me, it sounds
Yeah.
pretty fucking idiotic.
It's kind of crazy. But you tend to...
It all seems legit to me.
Yeah, that's right.
It does, and this is something that I'm blissfully unaware of, the whole GMO issue. And so, what is the side effect? I mean, why is everybody up in arms about GMO stuff?
There's some
Because
indications.
they don't understand it.
There is some indications, and I don't know how legit these are, that basically being able to overdose a plant with glyphosate and have that plant just absorb the glyphosate
Yeah.
may actually be resulting in everybody eating a bunch of glyphosate or glyphosate breakdown products, which may be rather bad for you.
Well, the plants
In the
do
amounts that
naturally
were-
fend off their natural predators, don't they? So clearly there's something in them that, animals don't necessarily want to eat. But it comes down to dosage, doesn't it?
I thought plants want to be eaten because that's how they.
No, that's...
And
popular.
glyphosate resistance, that's a weed control thing. It's nothing about bugs or insecticide or anything like that. So
I
so
read an
it's-
interesting article about hookworms in corn. And the hookworms have now evolved so that the pesticide doesn't affect them anymore.
That's a thing I deal with somewhat with work. Yeah, things are all constantly evolving. So as soon as you start using the whatever insecticide or fungicide or something for a long period on the same area for, then eventually your bug or disease evolves to be tolerant of whatever that new technique was, and then you have to come up with a new technique.
That's only if you believe in evolution, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't.
Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, if you don't, it doesn't happen.
Even the people who don't believe in evolution believe that happens. They just think that that's common sense, but that's microevolution, not macroevolution.
Oh, because
No.
there's a difference.
No, because the micro level is the atomic and subatomic level. I'm afraid that's macro evolution because that's entire insects.
True.
I know you know this.
Yeah, there's nothing micro really about this. What is so-called microevolution.
Well, they think it's micro because they're small beings.
Yeah, that's what they think micro means.
Yeah.
It means kind of small.
Like a tiger didn't grow a wing, but a bug developed an immunity.
What
to
is this? An
a
evolution
pesticide.
for ants?
Yeah.
Oh man.
You guys invite me to this shit.
No, we just got we evolved to be immune to your
Whoops.
jokes a long time ago.
For good reason.
that you two work together.
We
so,
do.
So I think he's more immune than the rest of us.
Yeah, by proximity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exposure.
Yes.
I don't expose myself at work.
I don't believe that one bit.
Me either. I get the distinct impression you do it.
It's a technique for selling cars.
I work at Honda, and I
Yeah.
expose myself all the time. Come buy a car.
That's terrible.
Next talking point.
You're going to edit that
What else-
shameless plug
What else
out.
is on the list there?
I don't actually work for Honda.
He's trying to give them
right.
bad PR.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to leave that in, right?
We'll see.
I don't
Okay,
think
what
so.
else are we talking about?
If things have a flow, I have to leave them in.
That's not bad. Was
That
that our
didn't.
second talking
No,
point?
it didn't.
Yeah.
I think so.
Or was
Oh,
it,
no, there's
that was a
there's
continuation
totally
of the first.
another thing.
Okay, no, was that a continuation off the first talking?
Yeah,
point?
that was all just this first.
Sweet.
We started
Yeah.
off with resurrecting the dead.
Yeah, it almost
You
sounds
get
like
an
we
A
know what we're
plus
doing.
on wasting time.
And that conversation
No, I always
evolved
have.
into bug immunities.
Yeah, I don't know how we got to agriculture. It's 5 degrees of separation from agriculture.
Wait, isn't it supposed to be 5 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon?
That's
Six.
No,
Oh, yeah.
We call it degrees of Kevin Bacon
Oh,
now.
Degrees of bacon?
Not even degrees of separation. They're now degrees of bacon.
Of bacon. I'm 2 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
I'm 3.
that right?
Really?
I'm 3.
Yeah. I was
That would-
I was in the stage production of Footloose. Kevin Bacon was in the movie Footloose.
I actually know a guy.
I watched Footloose. That's 1 degree of separation.
See?
No,
This guy.
actually, it isn't.
I'm following the exact same thing he is.
It's about knowing someone who knows.
Exactly.
Yeah. I read the thing by the guy who had made the Footloose and then was in it.
The Footloose?
Who made the Footloose?
My case is iron.
Which
My case
foot
is
did he make
ironclad.
loose?
Come here, I'll show you.
I like bacon, and I have bacon. That's 1 degree of separation.
I'm so sorry there, Corey. I think we've had too much to drink to actually do your podcast any justice.
That's all right.
Go on.
We did a really good job of being serious last week. So.
Ask
oh,
me
yeah,
about
super
science.
good.
Did you?
Yeah, and you weren't there.
Raz, and Corey did a
Yeah.
good job of being serious.
Yeah, it wasn't as
You need to
intellectual as
listen
could
to
have
it.
been,
It's not such a good job. I kept
Yeah.
us on pretty good track, though. I had notes for everything, though. This time I don't have notes.
That's
but on
okay.
notes.
Notes.
I'll keep us on track if you want.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm
too
just
funny
letting this
not to.
become organic.
Yeah,
Organic.
that's
Because
right.
you know how healthy organic
right.
things are, right?
That's right, yeah.
Letting this just evolve.
Yeah,
The way it is.
One of the few words that Mike hates.
No, I'm on board with that. I hate the term.
It's
Everything
no better
is
than
organic.
natural, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's-
natural, yeah.
It makes no sense.
Natural, organic,
Socialism.
holistic.
Communism.
Wait, what?
These
What
are
was
all
last
the words
two?
that are broken.
Ramanism.
Yeah. Romanism?
Ramen.
Romanism. Oh.
It's a subsect of Pastafarianism.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Roman Catholic?
Raw man.
Yeah.
there's been a split, has there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bless his noodly appendages.
Appendi.
Just as long as I get to
We don't need the Latin pluralization.
It makes it sound more legit, though.
as long as I get to take communion in Roman Catholicism and eat his noodly appendages and drink
white
of
sauce.
his
He wants
white
the white sauce.
Yeah,
He said appendages as well.
yeah.
You're the only appendi here.
All right, so next thing.
Appendices. If you're talking about.
Okay.
Can we give this conversation an appendectomy?
Can we?
Appendectomy. I guess that would be the plural.
You say tomato, I say moving on.
Fred Phelps.
Is
Ding
dead.
Is
dong,
dead.
which is dead.
Hooray.
I don't know. I find that a little morbid that we're celebrating somebody's death. I mean, he was a terrible person.
Are we
Don't get me
celebrating?
wrong.
Kind of.
It sounded like celebration. I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood your mourning.
Mine.
Cheers.
No, we're not mourning.
No, collective mourning. Collective mourning.
No.
No. I don't agree with his personal philosophies at all, or in his organization. One bit. About a person is dead. I think that
It kind of happens.
it does to everyone statistically.
No.
His
And
very
he
negative
was
influence.
old, so he lived a long, full, hateful, bigoted life.
Yeah.
So I think we can say he lived rather.
Well, and didn't he get kicked out of the WBC?
There's a
Yeah.
rumor.
Yeah.
And supposedly they're going
Yes.
to picket his funeral?
I've
Yes,
heard
they
such
actually are.
rumors.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Well, their website said they were.
Yeah, apparently, what's her name? The one daughter.
Stupid bitch Phelps.
Yeah.
SB.
Yeah, thanks for the specific. Yeah, supposedly they're
That daughter that's
yeah.
kind of in charge of things right now. Yeah, I did hear that they were planning on picketing him, but there's no really good explanation of why he got kicked out. I did hear some spurious rumors that the old man came out as gay in the end.
Really.
Yes, which
I
was not
doubt
well
that.
founded. That's why I said
doubt
spurious
that.
rumors.
I wouldn't be
Wow,
shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
No, there was some rumors from a while back that was why he'd left. I think it was he was in the military, and then had got really freaked out and took off and started an anti-gay church.
Yeah.
So
There's only a couple of reasons that you're absolutely anti-gay.
Yeah.
And one is that you're suspicious that dicks are actually delicious.
delicious, yeah,
That's a Joe Rogan thing.
Yes,
right?
it
Yeah.
is.
yeah. It's hard to argue with.
Look, I back up the fact that
About dicks being delicious?
yeah,
Oh, so we got a
And-
consensus between
and
Lana
Joe
and
nutrition.
Rogan is a man's man.
I know, he's awesome.
yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot to examine in terms of his passing in regard to nature versus nurture and mental health and things like that.
But he
Right.
wasn't even
'Cause
raised
you don't just-
that way.
No, he wasn't
Yeah.
raised that way. So the question is,
So he
where does
created
that level of hate and that level of bigotry come from?
I think.
Where does that evangelical...
There's a book he read once.
No, I'm aware.
And he
I'm aware,
interpreted quite literally.
But you can't draw a parallel and say all people that read that book will turn into Fred Phelps,
No.
right? I don't think that's what you're
If they
attempting
take
to
the
do,
Old
but I'm
Testament,
saying that
literally, they can.
it bears, well, yeah, we have to follow it. I don't follow the IKEA guide word for word. They don't actually have words in the in IKEA instruction manual. But
On the subject of nature versus nurture, that's
Yeah.
not a good distinction. All nature is actually just long-term nurture. That's basically evolution.
yeah,
It's another way of stating it. So in a sense, there's no such thing as nature. I mean, we are born, we have genetics, right? But really nurture is the determining force throughout time.
Nurture
It's
is
what's
nature.
powerful.
but wouldn't mental
Yes,
but
nurture
wouldn't mental
becomes nature.
disease be a form of nature? Because it affects your ability to be nurtured and the outcome of the nurturing.
The problem with mental diseases is they come from
Cognitive
all
diseases?
sorts of places.
right.
So it's not something that there's quite a few of them you can't nail down as either this or that. It's not a black and white issue.
Right. Because when I say nature in that regard, I think I'm talking about biological things. Right.
And generally you can't make generalizations.
And,
Generally, you can't generalize.
and
Generally
you can-
you can't generalize.
Yeah.
You can alter a
about mental
child.
disorders.
You can alter
No, yeah.
basically.
Sometimes
like,
you can.
I'm
Yes,
pretty sure you can
sometimes.
alter a child's physical brain and makeup by, how
Heroin.
much nurturing they have as an infant, particularly. Like there's that's nurture, but that can be hardwired in based on the
a
nurturing
sense.
they had very early in life.
Yes.
So
yeah. that's right.
so that it becomes their nature. It's not just I was influenced by it in this way. That in some ways that does become hardwired.
To
Yeah.
bring this back
Oh,
around
and-
to Fred Phelps,
Yeah.
his son Nathan Phelps is, from what I've read, one of the most empathetic, caring individuals that is in the atheist community. So, and he was raised by this hateful person in a hateful environment. So, it kind of speaks to something that isn't driven by his upbringing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Well, there's always a chance of seeing past what you're taught.
Yes.
If you couldn't become more than what you were taught, there would be no such thing as furthering humanity's knowledge.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Because you can't move. If you can't move forward, then we wouldn't be sitting here, right?
I wouldn't be, no.
No.
Well, none of us would be, right?
So-
Raz wanted us to kind of roast Fred Phelps, but
We
I'm
don't
not-
care what Raz wants, right?
Well, why don't we see if we can get him
He's
resurrected,
not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then we can roast the shit out of him. So how was the other side, douchebag? Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I
Well-
want to roast him,
Yeah.
and I hate. I'm
That's one thing I wanted to bring up. Phelps was one of the few people in the history of Christianity to properly interpret the Bible.
And stick by his convictions 100%,
Well, to stick by the
regardless of
Bible.
anything. Yeah.
God hates us. God hates us all. Like he took the literal Old Testament interpretation of God and he stuck to it. God is a hateful prick.
see if you read a little bit farther, he turns right around in the second part of the book. You know that part where he sends his kid and his kid.
Yeah,
The
too
New
bad there was never.
Testament?
Too bad they
He
never
offs
wrote a
his kid.
sequel.
No.
He offs his kid, and
The
everyone's
part where,
forgiven,
wait,
and God loves
that's-
all of us.
He
Jesus
offs
is
himself
very
'cause it's him,
hateful as
right?
well. Jesus is also very hateful.
Yeah.
People who refuse to follow him, people who make fun of Jesus. He's like, bring those people before me and slaughter them in front of me.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
as long as you're one of God's children, which we all are.
if you do not
loves
hate
you.
your brother or hate your father or hate your family or hate yourself, you cannot follow me. Like,
That's right.
That's
But if you
Jesus.
hate gays, come on.
And my dad's going to create you in his image, and he's omnipotent, so he can make you perfect. And then he's going to punish you for doing what he put you here with the capacity of doing. Because for some reason he needs your worship, because he's omnipotent, because it matters.
Yeah.
I
But he's a
I think we talked about that
narcissist.
last time, though.
I think that's going to be a running theme, perhaps, like this.
God's a dick?
Yeah, God's a dick or doesn't exist.
Sure. Seeing as we're talking about it, why don't we make a subject out of the new movie, Noah?
Oh, yeah, fuck that. The movie where the only movie where there's a person angrier than
More of a prick.
more of a prick and angrier than
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Thank you.
That'd be God.
Yeah, that's the Bill Maher thing. He just.
Yeah.
You watched that?
It was good.
I watched the video after you
That I
posted
said,
it.
wasn't it fucking awesome?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, Bill Maher's awesome.
It was
I-
pretty good.
I have trouble watching Bill Maher because I know he's anti-vax. So it's.
A person doesn't have to be right about everything as long as when they're spreading most of their messages.
I don't know. When anti-vax people talk, I generally go, okay.
A person has to be right about everything. Why doesn't a person have to be right about everything? Why did you just decide that?
Because
Wrong.
we would have no persons if we required them to be right
Well,
about
'cause-
everything.
No, they still exist.
Well,
So-
then
so-
we
so-
wouldn't
no, what I'm
have
saying is-
anyone to listen to then.
That message from Bill Maher in that whatever that was, that 4-minute bit.
Yeah, it's still a good bit.
It's still
It's
really
still a good
good,
bit.
and people should hear it. You shouldn't ignore that because he's anti-vax.
No, of course not.
Like a lot of really reputable people have been anti something really stupid at some point.
Yeah.
Even people I know thought that climate change was a bunch of BS at one point.
I can change my mind.
So can Bill Maher.
Is he going to?
He might.
Yeah, once a bunch of kids start dying of measles or something, and rubella, then maybe they'll go, this
Hopefully.
wasn't- maybe we shouldn't
Hey, they
take
only
advice
99%
from
got rid of those.
Itsy Blonde, Jenny McCarthy.
I just found out. You remember what's her name off of Big Bang Theory? Neuroscience.
Yeah.
Oh,
Blossom.
Maya.
Yeah, Blossom
Bialik.
is anti-vax.
Sorry, Maya. Really?
Yeah.
She's a
But-
PhD
Blossom?
neurosurgeon.
But to
know.
what extent?
sure she's
Neuroscientist.
Blossom?
Sorry, she's not a surgeon.
Yeah, she's
To my
totally
knowledge.
Blossom.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'd like to know to what extent, and if there's just certain ones that she's got an issue with.
I didn't read the article because I was so disappointed that
Yeah.
I couldn't.
There have been proven cases of vaccination causing adverse effects that
Yeah.
really fuck with people.
Well, of course.
The actual benefit of taking vaccinations far outweighs the risk.
Yeah, not dying
Yeah, not
Well-
dying is good,
and not having shit like polio.
which can be dying,
Yeah, it can be. So can
Or
rubella.
debilitating.
or it could be worse.
Yeah.
Measles can also be dying eventually.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Measles
I
can
think
be
the
dying.
reason why this catches,
We're so sophisticated.
I think the reason why this gets traction is, you're as a parent all nurturing, and you don't want to give your child something that might have an adverse reaction.
And when
Yeah.
it's pitched that way.
So sometimes they'll take the tack of, well, I'm not going to do anything that might cause this damage, and basically fuck everybody else.
For some
Well-
reason, it's better if nature causes the damage than if I cause the damage.
Exactly. And people do think that way because, that's a kind of a human nature thing.
Yeah, I
That
think so.
anti-vax thing, it goes along with a lot of other things like, religion for one, like the belief in God, that God is good and everybody gets what they deserve, especially the poor little fucking kids that are starving in other fucking third world countries and dying because the water they drink is killing them. A lot of people that believe in that shit live in what I call the first world bubble, where nothing else exists. So when they throw out their plastic, it can't end up in the ocean. There's a first world bubble, and people just refuse
There
to see
is.
past it, and they have their blinders on.
And a very small percentage of the population is the very largest mouthpiece.
Yeah.
People listen to celebrities and things like that because they
Bloggers.
assume that they're in the know. They have the money to hire the people that know
Podcasters.
things.
There's way too many mommy bloggers that are spreading this silliness around.
If you want to lose my attention, start a sentence with "as a mother," like it has any bearing on anything.
Unless it has to do with parenting.
As a philosopher, I
As a
support that.
philosopher,
As a philosopher.
as a person with a brain, it's not
I
necessary.
think having a brain is actually a part of the definition of being a person.
Yeah.
But we have these people have this
Not necessarily.
Very specific, Mike.
thought where they actually have herd immunity because it doesn't exist here because we wiped it out,
Yeah.
and they think that it can't come
Almost.
back, or because they've never seen it, it doesn't exist.
I've actually had arguments with people online, and they're still wrong, and they're still online.
You didn't fix it, Gumby.
As if
People
being,
online
as if
can be
being
wrong.
got them kicked off the internet.
Yeah.
That's so
About the
terrible.
same thing, and they'll be like, well, why does it matter if my child gets sick because I refuse to immunize them because I'm not hurting anyone but my own family? And this herd immunity thing is just not real. There's no such thing.
As hard as it is to believe, there are people who can't get vaccines.
Yeah, there's people that have to live based on herd immunity.
There's people
People
with
with lower
compromised immune systems.
systems,
Yeah. And babies and the elderly.
or people that are allergic to mercury because the mercury in there is poison, which it's not because it's not. It's a glycerol type mercury instead of.
Substance isn't poison. Dosage is poison.
I know everything's
Yeah.
poisonous.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, nothing is.
No, part of the anti-vax thing is everybody's paranoid about the mercury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually the same mercury that you get out of large fish.
No, that's right.
It's a glycol-based mercury or
Yeah,
something. I can't
you're a
remember
lot
what it
more
is.
likely to get an overdose of mercury from eating sushi.
Well, you're not going to get it from a vaccine because it's a different type of mercury. It's non.
It's a compound that includes
Made
mercury.
of stuff.
I mean, that H2O, everyone who's had H2O dies.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I breathed air once and I'm going to die.
You know what? I'm living on the edge right now.
Yes.
You're all witnessing this.
You
I'm about
are.
to consume H2O in its purest form, filtered from a mountain spring.
In a plastic bottle. That's pure.
From the
Dihydrogen monoxide.
Dihydrogen monoxide, yeah.
Put the di and dihydrogen. I'm not going to choke on this now. You won.
Two chemists walk into a bar. One says, I'll have an H2O. The other says, I'll have an H2O too. And he dies.
Yeah. That's terrible.
It is terrible.
Chemistry joke.
That's a chemistry joke that everyone on the internet has actually heard.
Yeah. I always picture people standing on the internet.
Oh.
People on the internet.
Oh, yes.
Like it's a mountain.
What's like being punched in the face? In the face?
Yeah.
Do you mean punched on the face? You're not in my face. Are you in my face? Yeah.
Well, people say, "Get out of my
prepositions are
face."
hard. Yeah, because they're in your face. What they mean is get away from my face.
I believe it's exaggeration because your proximity to their face makes it feel like you are invading the actual
Hyperbole.
space that their face.
I see.
Hyperbole?
Prepositions are strange.
Meaning is
Do we
use.
have
That's
another
all.
subject?
Meaning is use.
Yep. So we got here from Fred Phelps.
Okay. Prepositions. Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Did you hear about Cheerios?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
read that one actually.
We get to come around back again to GMOs?
Back to GMOs.
Okay.
Back to
Except,
GMOs.
except
Yay.
Cheerios have a higher consciousness. It's more woo than just GMOs.
Oh, okay.
What does consciousness mean in this context?
Yeah, I actually lost that.
Consciousness and Cheerios, I didn't know about
I
that.
lost that article when
Let's
it started
see, what do we
involving
got?
these. I'm going to call them Reiki masters, but that's not the wrong.
No,
that's
that
not
is
the
right.
term.
That's totally right.
Is it really?
He's a Reiki master. This
Oh, yeah.
John Fagan or whatever.
He's something. He's got a title that is like from. We were talking about D&D earlier. This guy is like High Wizard of. It's not even the clan. It's like
I was going to say the Klan. The KKK owns Cheerios.
the special KKK.
He's the Raja of global
Serial
country.
Joe.
No, this is his title.
The Raja of global country of world peace with responsibility for food safety and purity for health invincibility.
In
Like they
this
have-
corner, the Raja for blah, 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 blah.
I just
blah.
like that this organization is so specific that that's the title. Like they have so many people that that's the title
I like that it has invincibility in the name.
for health invincibility.
Health and invincibility.
Health and
So he knows how to
Healthy
turn people
invincibility.
into
That's what
the
I thought
Hulk.
because it's healthy invincibility.
Yeah.
as
As
opposed to, the
unhealthy.
unhealthy
That's right.
invincibility.
Well,
Yes.
he's the Raja.
That's my
Healthy
least
invincibility.
favorite form
He's
of
the Raja.
invincibility.
He's not the prince or the czar,
Yeah.
but the Raja.
He's the Raja.
No, but they're from India, aren't they? He may not be, but it says in the article something about they spend.
Raja is an
No,
Indian
that's the other
name.
article where that prince left me that money.
It's Nigeria.
Yeah, that's Nigeria.
Yeah,
I know how you can get the two confused.
Yeah.
He promotes Vedic organic products.
I think that's Vedic.
Vedic?
Yeah.
Vedic.
Well,
Vedic sounds
Could be
really
Vedic.
funny though.
Vedic.
Which are
Let's see, what do we got here? Promotes Vedic organic products and proclaims that foods do not need chemical vitamins because the Maharishi
bullshit.
products he promotes have higher levels of consciousness, which consumers receive when they eat these products.
Isn't it through vibration? That's
higher
no, I
level
read
of-
this.
Yes, no, that's right. Fagan's magical foods gain this higher level of consciousness through specific sound vibrations generated by specially trained Vedic pandits.
Pandas.
Monkeys?
It's not pundit. It's pandit,
Pandit.
I think they're monkeys.
which
Who
is
chant
it's a
at
cuter
certain
Oriental
vibrations.
version of a pundit.
Yeah.
Pandit.
Why did this make news anywhere?
It's in Forbes.
Yeah.
Why? Because Cheerios.
Because it's a big brand.
Because-
everybody eats Cheerios.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's really a
They're projected to lose
stupid
like
move.
75% of their loyal customer base.
I won't eat vibrating cereal. That shit ain't right.
I don't think you understand. Vibration is what makes you feel better, according to the expert. So
That's what
I'm
she
going
said.
To, I'm
It
going to.
grants you higher consciousness.
If
you'll
the
allow me to-
cereal you ate wasn't vibrating, it would be at absolute zero, and it would certainly
Okay.
kill you.
Is vibration
I
one
don't
of the
mean the molecules
Oh,
moving.
okay.
I mean the actual rings of O, physically the entire thing vibrating at a point where you can see it.
Well, let's do a little bit of an experiment right now. I'm going to create
Go
a
get some Cheerios.
vibration, and listeners can tell me whether or not they feel better.
No.
This just makes me think of Crustios
Depends where you
Crustios?
put that vibration.
With the yeah, exactly.
from Simpsons.
Yeah. So,
with
I mean,
with the razor O hidden in the bottom.
Yeah.
yeah,
this
I
is
don't know
pretty
why.
ridiculous anyway.
yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous that a corporation of that size with a brand that has been that established for so long would overnight, without, like the article says, consultation of the public, the consumers of their products, their loyal people, would not even consult them before making such a drastic change.
Yeah.
And it also states in the article that the market that they're appealing to doesn't really exist because of the percentile of GMO that's still present in the product. It's like 0.9%.
Yeah,
And
that's
people
right.
that are GMO free will not consume 0.9%. So they're
And it's only
appealing
this
to-
one dude that it appeals to.
Well, they're appealing to a market
Yeah.
that doesn't exist
Yeah, pretty
at
much.
all. Way to go! Was it General Mills?
Yeah, General Mills.
Way to go, General Mills!
Didn't they?
They have
weren't,
GM in their name.
no, they actually weren't they part of the original movement for modifying their crops
I have no
because
idea.
they were such big cereal producers, and there were a couple. I can't remember what kind of insect famines that wiped out some of their crops, and they got really worried about it.
It's generally corn. That there's been some corn bugs that have been quite bad. Because there's not really any wheat. Corn's really the only cereal.
Yeah, and there's no
It's
food
GMO.
value, just fucking corn.
It's all starch.
A very
all
efficient
starch
producer
and
of
fructose.
starches. Yeah.
It's a good source of high fructose
Corn syrup?
corn. corn is.
Really? I would have never guessed.
I wonder what the primary ingredient of corn syrup is.
Fructose.
I bet it's syrup.
Fructose.
Totally syrup.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny because I think they said that the price was supposed to go up by about 12%,
Yeah.
but it's
But it's not. It's reduction in volume.
yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
so
the
you're
same
paying
thing.
the same price, but you're getting less, right?
But it's not as obvious to the consumer.
Right.
Box is going to be the same size.
because
Product in the box is gonna
consumers
be less.
are idiots.
More of what you're buying
I mean,
turns out to be air,
I work at Honda.
just like bags of chips.
consumers
Yeah.
listening to this.
Yeah.
But that's to stop the chips from being crushed.
It
Actually-
must be.
When
what
bags
they
of chips
told
are filled,
You say that
Are-
like you believe it.
Yeah.
when they fill the chip bags, they're actually full. It's shipping that forces them all down to the bottom of the bag.
That's interesting that you believe that.
They stack
You
all
say
of the
that
chips
like you believe
on
it.
the edge.
What he said.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the bags say that though.
I don't buy into conspiracy theory very often, but when it comes to bags of chips and all the fucking air, oh yeah.
That's clearly bullshit.
But you're buying by weight anyways.
Yeah, you are
Yeah,
buying.
You
That's
are.
right.
So it's
It makes no
misleading
difference.
packaging. That's all it is.
It's just inconvenient when I have to buy 10 bags of chips.
Why do you have to buy 10 bags of chips?
to fill
You
one
think-
bag.
You think that gut comes out of nowhere.
I gotta work for this shit.
You don't just get this physique by sitting around. Well, actually.
Did anybody besides me read the evidence for the Big Bangs article?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It was pretty neat, eh?
Yeah. Next.
Next.
They called it the smoking gun.
Yeah, that's a strange way to put it, but
Everything's a smoking gun.
Everything is
That's
indeed.
the smoking gun. They called the Higgs boson the God particle.
Yeah, but that was unfortunate. And pretty much everyone involved said that was an unfortunate name.
Yeah.
They call this a smoking gun because it's supposed to be fairly close to proof.
Well, it's sigma
Right,
5.
yeah, it's not just mathematical anymore. It's
Well, no, they had evidence before, but the earliest evidence they had for the Big Bang was something like 100 or 200,000 years after the Big Bang. And these gravitational waves that are moving in much weird waves in different directions and stuff, they can supposedly mathematically date those back to, hundreds of thousands of a second after the
Millions of billions of a second,
something like that.
according to the guy that was.
Which are the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It just depends on how many hundreds of thousands.
I guess that's true.
Well, the results of all of this rule out alternative theories. I guess that's why they're calling it the smoking gun.
right.
But it is still dependent on being correlated with the. They have a craft that's doing similar research right now, and it is called the. It's going to drive me crazy until I think about it.
Too bad.
But they do have to. They do have to have like this is. They say that sigma 5 that it is within such tight constraints that it can't be wrong.
Sigma 5
Statistically.
is the same statistical improbability of shuffling a deck of cards and getting the exact same order,
Yeah.
which is as close to impossible
It's
as it
0.
gets.
I think 5099% chance. So just infinitesimally small.
Yeah.
Well, 0.5% is still pretty high.
Times 10 to the 99th power.
No,
or
I said
something.
0.050 zeros.
Oh,
99%.
It's
I heard
actually
0.5.
No.
it's actually way worse than that.
Yeah.
Way worse.
Probably.
If you had every human who had ever lived did nothing but shuffled cards for their entire lives throughout history, the chance of actually getting the same order of cards in a deck would still be something like 1 in 10 to the 30th power.
Yeah.
Something retarded like that.
Yeah.
So that's what that means. It's fucking almost impossible.
Yeah.
Roughly the odds of winning Lotto Max.
It's way worse than
that. The odds of winning Lotto Max without buying a ticket.
No, still,
Without
there
having
was
a
that
ticket.
homeless guy that got that ticket given to him and he won the lottery.
Without having a ticket. And that was fake. That was actually a whole
Was
setup.
it?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't follow up on the story.
Like you didn't
I didn't
watch
even read the story,
the
but the
minute and a half
headline.
video.
Nope, I read the headline and moved on with my life.
Wow. Look at that. Joe Internet right there.
Yeah. That's all I need. Headlines. I get
When
the
it comes
gist.
to the lottery, that's how much
get the
everybody
gist.
cares.
Yeah, so all alternative theories have basically been pushed aside, which has the whole alternative science crowd in an uproar. And I don't think my work policy will cover it anymore.
No?
No. Like alternative medicine.
It has all of the creationists
Alternative.
in an uproar. But they all look
It's
like...
all part of God's plan.
Yeah, sure it is. They're
That's
all
not an
acting
umbrella
like-
defense.
Why would they choose now to be in an uproar? There's been surmounting evidence leading
They've
up to
always
now.
been in an uproar.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Why
Yeah.
would this be any different?
Remember that big giant
They don't-
conspiracy they had
It's
about
actually
the
not.
Illuminati?
Remember,
They were in an uproar then.
They generally don't touch cosmology at all.
because
Because,
they generally don't care about evidence.
Well,
that's
that's-
not really
that's
a
true.
thing to them.
no, that's right.
Unless we can somehow use the power of faith to convince them, I don't think there's any really getting
Actually,
through.
they use faith as an argument against things like the Big Bang. They say, well, you have to have faith in that, as though that's a bad thing,
Yeah.
Right.
which is
Wait a
very
second.
interesting and hypocritical.
I don't believe in the word faith.
It's-
Define
It's a
it.
word.
It's
That's
not
a-
a
It is a
tangible.
word.
That's a category error.
It doesn't matter if you
isn't
believe in it or not. It still exists.
Mr. Philosopher. Is that not a category error? That saying that you have faith in the Big Bang versus I have faith that God's did this and this and this. That's really using the words in an entirely different way, but trying to muddy the waters.
Well, for
by
sure,
using
because
the same word
Science,
for different
science
things.
exists
Sure.
whether you care or not,
Well, and that's
unless you observe it.
it's the same sort of logic behind the word theory.
Oh, that
And how
bugs me immensely.
Oh, it's one of my biggest pet peeves.
It's just a
Is that
theory.
no? It's just a theory.
But the good thing about that is science and I'm using science as if it's an actual thing. And I hope
Like
everybody
it's a
forgives me
tangible,
because it's
yeah.
not. But science is the only thing that will adjust its own views if it's proven wrong. So that's why they consider everything a theory.
But I would go on further and say, you know,
Not everything is a theory.
That's not actually quite correct.
No?
No.
science is the endeavor. Is that as an endeavor?
Theory is just explains why things happen. You never get
Yes.
things from being a theory to a law. A law describes how things are seen to act, but not it doesn't
Yes.
say anything about why it acts that way.
See, this
Laws
is why we have
are-
a scientist on the
Yeah.
crew.
Laws are measured observation, and theories are frameworks of explanation and prediction.
Yeah.
She's
I-
right.
I'm not disagreeing. I completely
That shouldn't
agree.
be
I just
surprising.
No,
Why are you surprised
It's not. It's
that I'm right?
important.
Yeah.
I just had a really dumb layman way of trying to say it. That's all.
Yeah.
Kind of. But I wish more people understood that, and they don't, because it's the colloquial understanding of the word theory. That's like, I have a theory about
The
what
law of
they're going
gravity
to
is not a
serve for
theory.
lunch today.
Well, they confuse the word theory with the word hypothesis,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because hypothesis is a strange word, and theory is
even-
much more familiar. So they just
Yeah.
substitute.
And I think even before hypothesis becomes idea, and I think we should just stop at idea to define what they're attempting to define.
Yes.
Because
Because
at least a hypothesis has to be reasoned.
hypothesis has to be clear.
falsifiable.
It has to be
Yes.
falsifiable. It
That's
has to
right.
be clear and concise, and not a exercise of moving the goalposts. So
Right.
either it passes or it fails.
Right.
An idea, that can go anywhere.
Yeah.
So you don't have a belief, but you have an idea.
Thank you, Chris.
Sounds like something I've heard before.
Like maybe in a good movie.
I
Very
have
good.
lots of ideas. Sometimes they turn into hypotheses, and sometimes they get tested, and then we do science,
Yeah.
and it's fun.
It's
You
great to do
science.
science.
I science.
Well, and
I get paid to science.
I don't think you did. You guys
That's
actually watch?
awesome.
Did
It
you watch
is.
our last podcast
Watch.
I listened
or
to
listen
it.
to the last? I
Yeah.
was looking at my computer while I listened to it.
I watched the whole thing. I didn't hear a word, but I watched the whole
Sorry, did you listen to the last podcast?
Yes,
I'm just asking because the last podcast was called "Science is a Verb."
I
Yes.
did notice
No.
that.
Because Gumby was trying to use it that way.
It can be used any way I want
It-
to.
People use it that way all the time.
Any word
Yeah,
can be used
that's
any
right.
way anybody
Step
wants
back.
to
I'm
use.
going to try science.
As long as it facilitates communication.
As long as the other person understands, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what I use.
Yeah.
I can use kablurgerschmurger. If you understand what I'm saying, it's perfectly legit.
Which reminds me, on a bit of Fry and
That
Laurie,
doesn't
they
sound
had an
communal.
excellent bit on
Kablurgerschmurg reminds you
swearing
of something?
that basically demonstrated that principle.
There's no such thing as swearing.
Exactly.
Words
Well,
just are.
The word
Words
swearing
just
has a
are.
meaning.
So I'll have to.
Because
I'll
it has
have
a
to
use.
send a clip
I
of
was
the
waiting
bit
for
to
my-
Corey.
For sure.
One of the two of us is going to say it.
No, but if I
I'm so
say
glad when it's Mike.
if I say the word fuck, it doesn't actually have its own meaning.
Yeah,
Directly.
You can't say that.
It's the way
As
you
a
take
use.
it. We're not on television.
It's an activity.
I don't care how many times you watch this.
I'll
It's
call
not
the
on television.
CRTC.
You can't do that on television.
Anyway,
Sorry.
I'm not going to get into.
Do you remember
English and
that
grammar,
show where they
that's not my
dubbed
thing.
green goo on people?
You can't
They-
say
that
that on
was
television.
called. You can't do that on television.
Oh, you can't do
Yeah.
that. on television.
I'm
there were
that
many.
old.
There were many shows like that.
We're kind of all that old. We're all that.
That
old.
means I'm old.
I totally remember. that show.
He's not that old.
I remember that show.
Justin's not that old, but he's
I'm
actually
not that
pretty
old,
fucking
but
old.
I'm old enough.
Justin's not that old.
He's
How
older
old
than
are
us.
you?
But you're old enough to be a nerd enough to actually know all the things that we know.
I'm just
somehow.
Canadian enough to know that. That was
Yeah, I
Canadian
guess so.
production.
Yeah.
Right? That's
See,
part of
and you know
Canadiana. Well, actually,
That was one of Canada's great exports.
wasn't that initially it was on YTV, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, when I was in college, one of my educators was on the staff that originally started YTV. So I know a little bit about the company history.
That's cool.
So I'm aware of you can't do that on television. I've also seen you can't do that on television. But
I used to watch it all the time.
I watched
All I
it when was a
remember
kid.
is the green slime.
you asked me
Yeah.
how old I was. I'm
Dumped on people.
27.
I was in the lockers.
Well, there was Barf's, the
It was all
restaurant.
kinds of places.
There was a restaurant called Barf's.
That's
When we
right.
throw up,
Yep.
you saved it in a
Yep.
pail and fed it back to you. Because that's good Canadian entertainment for kids. Here's some vomit. Eat it. Now give me some vomit.
So this might be a good spot to do a save break.
Sure.
Yeah. Grand Unified Theory. Rational Response Squad's newest member. My name is Grade and Square. And I'ma always give it to you straight. Check it. Yo, I'm like the atheist spokesman. That's why I come under fire and pressure attacks like Rex Grossman. Haha, yeah, this game is intense. I've been saying this since agnostic people been playing the fence. They keep saying it's the same in the sense that evolution requires faith that the universe just came to exist. First of all, microevolution's been proven in the same way that sound waves let you listen to music. And macroevolution is the system of change at or above the level of species inflicted with change. That's microevolution on the grand scale. We can't even word because our lifespan's too short to observe. But carbon dating is flawed. Its half-life is 5,730 years, and that supports our cause. Now that'd be great if we used it to date, but since we don't, then I'ma question that argument's weight. We use potassium argon to date the globe, not carbon 12 or carbon 14, not none of those. So before you attack, great, go get your facts straight, because in the facts race, your God comes in the last place. Believe in gods, we can fix that. Irrational thoughts, we get dispatched. It may be hard, but we'll get back in the position just to end that. Believe in gods, we can fix that. Irrational thoughts, we get dispatched. It may be hard, but we'll get back in the position just to end that. To battle me, you need to reason clearly. Now, I'm not saying fear me, but at least be versed in punctuated equilibrium theory, grand unified fields, quantum mechanics, and dark planets, with logic that's sharper than the blade of D'Artagnan's to destroy arguments of creationists who can't stand it. Then they try to hit me with the wager. Who? Pascal's wager. Who? Pascal's wager. Now that's a fool's bet. And against the intelligent, it's used less. Really? You bet. That ain't nothing new. They use it on kids. But for those who don't know, it goes a little like this. Wouldn't you rather believe in God and be wrong than to not believe in God and be wrong? If you believe in God and you're wrong, you've lost nothing. But if you don't believe and you're wrong, it's all suffering. The problem is you can try it on anything. Switch the gods around and apply it to anything. The flying spaghetti monster, Zeus, Amen-Ra, Krishna, Odin, Baal, and then Allah. Which one of them's our God? None of them all false. And blame it on the atheists. It's always our fault. Except it never is. So don't get mad at us. We just showing y'all the evidence. Believe in gods, we can fix that. Irrational thoughts, we get dispatched. It may be hard, but we'll get back in the position just to end that. Believe in gods, we can fix that. Irrational thoughts, we get dispatched. It may be hard, but we'll get back in the position just to end that. Grand Unified Theory. Rational Response Squad. I'ma make the fundies hate me. They gon' need a new reason to shut down rap. But they won't shut down rap that degrades women though, huh? They won't shut down rap that talks about selling crack though, huh? Hypocrites. It's all good. Grand Unified. I'm Grand Unified. Grand Unified. Great and Square. Grand Unified Theory.
How
How
atheist-
atheism helped create the modern world.
Right.
Right.
Which, when we were talking over supper, I added in that that reminded me of this book that I have on Audible called The Swerve, which basically talks about how this old book on the nature of things, or De Rerum Naturam, I think it's called in Latin, by Lucretius, was discovered in an old monastery by some old book hunter, and it had almost fallen completely to dust. And that basically kicked off the idea that, basically the idea of atheism, the idea that nature develops of its own processes, and kind of kick-started natural philosophy and all of that, which in some ways would lead to other scientific inquiry. But it just happened to be a book hunter that scared up this whole book. They could have easily been lost to history. Like so many others that were lost, and they know they're lost.
It's strange to think that the philosophy comes from that perspective and not the other way around. Because we view religion as a construct, right? And there had to have been a time of man before religion, even if that was in caveman era.
I think that's an evolutionary product, though. Like it's
The urge to explain something
Yeah,
that isn't
that's
explainable.
right. So
you
assign something.
assign something to it.
It's
Well,
much
part of the
more
human-
than that.
part of the
There are
human
many
condition is to
tendencies
apply-
towards belief.
Yeah,
Yes,
part of the
that's
human
true,
condition
right.
is
Yes,
to
that's true.
apply an explanation to everything. That's part of
Whether
what makes
it's
us
pro-
human.
whether it's
There's
true or
the
not.
tendency towards agency. There's the tendency towards.
You remember some of this. The agency thing, like if you're hanging out and you hear a noise in your house, you automatically attribute it toward not just agency, but human agency.
Because it's safer.
Intelligent agency.
It's safer to do that.
Well, it's
than
more
be on guard.
survivable.
It's
Yeah.
a
That's
survival technique to be like, oh, there's a
Right.
robber in the house. I should go get my baseball bat and go check.
So it's only a short step from that to saying, well, all of these other things, these other pattern things that we see are the result of agency. They appear to be the result of agency, therefore they are.
Yeah, it's easier to believe that way.
Sorry to destroy the conversation.
No, you brought us all to a level of agreeance. With agreeance comes silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
This whole thing is a bit hard to argue with, but you were arguing a little bit about the title and whether it actually had any meaning as a sentence.
No.
Title.
Well, it did have meaning.
For use is meaning. Or meaning is use.
How atheism helped create the modern world. I don't think atheism helped create it, but perhaps atheists did.
Well, if you read some of it, it's not. they're not talking about specific people that were atheists.
That's unfortunate.
They're talking about how the lack of proof of God and the desire for understanding what the Bible says versus what nature was showing helped expand the knowledge of our world or science. So it's not atheists; it's the lack of knowledge of God, which is atheism. Right?
That's chicken and egg.
Yeah.
It's ultimately atheists.
The egg came first, by the way, laid by something that wasn't a chicken.
No. That depends on how you define the terms. I'm sorry. I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson thought he nailed that.
Let's let Mike
But he
go
didn't
off.
pay attention to anything about it. You brought that up on purpose.
I did. Go.
Beautiful.
Fucker.
I knew it. Pissed you
Go
off.
on. Neil deGrasse Tyson thought he nailed it, but Mike really nailed it when he said,
An egg is just an egg. It's not a chicken until it's become a chicken. That's the way I look at it.
When you ask the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg? What do you mean by the egg? The egg?
The first chicken
Which egg
or
is
the first
the
chicken egg? What was first?
At what point did it become a chicken versus an egg with something that wasn't
Well, an
considered
egg-
a chicken?
Reptiles have eggs, so therefore the eggs were first.
No.
You can-
because an egg is not a chicken.
Eggs
Just like a
have always been
zygote is
first.
not a baby.
But the
She's
way to
right,
read-
though. If you're talking about the chicken versus the egg, what, any egg? Well, yeah, reptile eggs came first.
Dinosaur
Clearly.
eggs.
fish eggs.
Clearly.
Uh-huh.
So is that what we're asking? Well,
No, I think the
the
question
chicken
is
or the
which
chicken egg.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you define chicken egg?
Well,
What's a chicken
An
egg?
egg laid by a chicken.
Which upon
If you
Has to be
The
laid by a
chicken.
chicken.
If
So the
you
chicken would have
define
to
it
come first.
as an egg, yeah, then the chicken became.
But if you define it as an egg that will become a chicken,
How terrifically pedantic.
That's just it. It's a matter of semantics. Therefore,
it totally
completely
is. And that's
uninteresting.
exactly why I brought it up.
Because it's
Because I'm a
uninteresting.
dick. It's only uninteresting to you. Everybody else is laughing and thinking it's hilarious.
Here, let's talk about something else. Border Patrol forcing bowel movements at border.
forcing bowel movements.
Yes.
Is that Russia?
I'm just looking it up on Young Turks. insane cavity search and forced bowel movements at the border.
Well, if you
Poop
search
now.
my cavity, I'm going to have a bowel movement.
I assume to check for illegal immigrants.
So the Mexican border.
Because maybe you're hiding a Mexican in your ass.
Well,
Either that or
forced-
drugs.
Forced bowel movements are a lot easier in Mexico.
Here, have some water.
But not for Mexicans because they're used to it.
Right.
That's because of
How
the
do they
coconut
force these
juice.
bowel movements?
Well, no,
What
it's
do
The
they do?
coconuts, isn't it? The milk.
Yeah,
Yeah, the coconut, yeah.
Yeah, I told you that story, didn't I?
No,
I'll
I
have a
saw.
quick look.
I saw your post.
Yeah. When the bartender turned to me after my third pina colada in Jamaica and said, "Careful, man. Coconut milk is a natural laxative." Thanks for telling me that 3 drinks ago.
You're a really shitty Jamaican.
I am a really shitty Jamaican. I guess I got to go back and
Stay there.
relocalize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Naturalize.
We could discuss whether or not Wolverine is an atheist in the Skeptical Geek segment.
Wolverine's
wanted to
hot.
do
It's
that.
irrelevant
Of course
whether
I
or not
wanna
he's
do
an
that.
atheist.
So, like we said last time, he's not a real person.
No, but assuming for the
You're
moment that
missing the
Wolverine
point of
is a
discussing
real
what
person.
is fun to discuss when you say that. You realize that, right?
So the 2-dimensional ink guy believes in God.
Does he?
Hugh Jackman isn't 2-dimensional or ink.
No.
Hugh Jackman
He's also not
plays
Wolverine.
He's not Wolverine by definition.
He is Wolverine.
All right, and the
Just-
hearts and minds of many, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
In film.
But in reality, he is not Wolverine.
But what is reality, really?
Let's get into that, shall
Okay,
we?
so
I love
I'm
that
outta here.
conversation.
which level are we going to? Are we going to the movies, or are we going to comics, or are we going to animated series?
Well, I'm as much of a geek as you, Corey. So the only
I
true,
doubt that.
Not
I
even
seriously
close.
doubt that.
the only true answer is comics, because animated is made for
There's
kids,
a
and
picture of
TV
him
is
praying in a church. I found
TV is bastardized.
Oh, I read
literally
this.
Bastardized.
Wolverine praying in
Really?
a church in the comics. It exists.
Huh.
So maybe he isn't an atheist.
Well, do you think somewhere in the canon, like if you go to the Marvel website and search up his biography, they would denote
According
his...
to comicbookreligion.com,
That's a
Wolverine-
thing.
That's a thing. Wolverine is an atheist / skeptical seeker.
All right.
/ Shogun.
Do they give examples?
They give links. One of the good ones is adherence.com,
Okay.
which talks about Wolverine as though he's being an atheist,
Yeah.
but he's not currently an atheist.
That's what this says too. I was just reading an article about it.
Okay, yeah.
So he's not currently an atheist.
Yeah.
So he has seeked and he has found.
Supposedly, I just reread Weapon X, Wolverine Weapon X issue 16, and he carries a piano up to a monastery for Nightcrawler, it was Nightcrawler's dying wish, and when he gets there, basically,
Spoiler alert.
it's like years old now. Like if people haven't read it,
Yeah.
then
Too
tough
late.
shit.
Well, I'm not now.
Yeah, where basically he gets up to the top and he says, "Okay, I believe," or whatever, right? Like you win, Kurt.
Does
So-
he do that as, because he's in the throes of a friend's death.
Right? Yeah. So is it real belief or is it just mourning kind of thing?
Is it mourning? Is he placating his friend because he's
It.
passing on?
I asked the question on Reddit,
All right.
which was interesting.
Which is a
And
wealth of information.
It is actually, and it brought up the
And pizza.
and pizza, and it brought up the
Reddits.
question, like what qualifies as God, or what qualifies as heaven, or an afterlife in a universe like the Marvel universe.
Well, I thought something, but I didn't.
you thought of
Well,
something?
I mean, I guess I can touch on that because
Okay.
it touches a little bit close to home. 2 years ago, around this time, I lost my brother. He committed suicide.
Okay.
And I mean, to anyone around at the time that it was close to me and my family, it would seem that I had a spiritual lapse of sorts. Really, in my intelligent mind, I did not. Not once did I begin to believe in anything other than what I believe currently. But for the sake of my family who is devout and who is religious, who would have liked to have seen me in a light where I was sympathetic to that, I definitely was. And so that begs the question, right? Is this a show for his dying friend that he is agreeing with him in his final moments?
Well,
to offer some sort of solace or some sort of comfort to him?
but he's met gods,
He's met gods, quotes.
plural. So who defines which god is which, or which god matters more?
This is how we discuss, like, in a
I think
universe like
Galactus
this.
is probably a little more heinous than Jehovah.
But he is a destroyer. He's not a creator.
What about...
Which is better? That's
Irrelevant in the
irrelevant
view of a god.
of whether or not he believes in God. He can't not believe in gods because he's met gods.
I
But-
guess, are these gods defined or are they self-proclaimed?
Yeah, could he change his definition of what a god is and just be like, okay, well, they're super
Well, sure, but
powerful
that
beings.
changes the whole definition of his version of atheism at the same time.
Well,
Isn't that the
But
whole
it'd be
point?
like if
Yeah.
Isn't
I
atheism sort of ill-defined in the Marvel universe?
Well, it is.
Because everything's on a sliding scale.
Yeah.
There's no black and white there. There's no God and not God. There's just powerful, more powerful, and more powerful.
But there's also characters in Marvel that have their powers from heavenly sources.
So what?
there's an
Heaven
actual
would be
heaven.
a different location.
There's an actual heaven. There's an actual hell.
The problem with an actual heaven is that you can travel there physically and rescue people from it.
So it's just a place.
So it's a place you can go.
I don't believe in a place.
let's replace the word heaven with the word Seattle.
Exactly.
Heaven is a place on earth.
yeah.
It's just another
Sorry.
dimension place. that
Another
you can
dimension.
go.
Dimension. Another dimension.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry. Go on.
Totally wrecking this podcast.
Everything
Sorry.
has to be a bad pop culture reference.
Oh, it absolutely does.
How is Beastie Boys bad in any way?
Yeah, well,
Man, we were on a roll there, too.
yeah, no shit.
We're sabotaging the podcast.
I'm telling all y'all.
I'm pushing stop right now.
It's not my fault.
Somebody
So
else
what
did
if
it.
I was going to say intergalactic. What if Galactus came? Right? Would you just choose not to believe in Galactus?
The thing is, I mean, Galactus defines himself as a god. And as far as the canon is concerned, he is defined
Right. Well, if he can
as
eat a
god.
planet, I would define him as a god too.
Right, but I can define...
Sure.
Why not?
If
If he can create things like Silver Surfer and give him that power,
If you found
That's kind of
significance,
godly.
But if you found significance in chicken, and I defined myself as a god and ate a chicken, I'm not God.
it's
But
just
to
like the
you, I am.
conversation with Mike, where everything is poisonous. It's all based on dosage. It's the
How
same
did
with power.
anything become like a conversation with me?
Well, no. The belief in God or a god, it's a sliding
It's
scale.
just like a conversation with Mike.
It's all perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's how powerful of a god does it have to be for you to be atheistic against or to not believe in?
Or
When
to
you've
just
met gods,
or to just consider it just another super powerful being. Like when you're Wolverine and
Yeah,
you
define
faced off
God
against
in Marvel.
Thanos having the fucking Infinity Gems.
Gauntlet, the
like,
gauntlet.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I'm not a geek.
all of a sudden, well, yeah, well, all of a sudden,
I just know Wolverine's hot, and that's basically
No, that's Hugh Jackman again.
again,
I know.
Wolverine, some ink on a piece
The
of paper.
original Wolverine is short.
yeah,
And
and
probably
really
hairy.
hairy, really hairy. Yeah.
Ew.
Not quite as short as Puck, who was actually really tall until he got possessed by a
Yeah,
demon.
I only like the Hugh Jackman.
There
one.
you go.
I'm not a geek.
There you go. Quit
Okay.
pretending these things aren't real.
Well, they are. They're totally real.
That's it for this part of episode 7. Thanks for listening. I'll be getting the second part out as soon as possible. If you want to keep up with what's happening on the show, just check us out on Twitter at BrainstormPod, on Facebook at facebook.com/brainstormpodcast. You can help us out by giving us a rating and writing a review on iTunes or Stitcher. You can find all the relevant links to this episode in the show notes on our website, brainstormblog.net. And if you want to contact us for any reason, comments, criticisms, suggestions, or accolades, just email us at mail@brainstormblog.net. Before I go, I just wanted to give a couple shout-outs. First is for the Legion of Reason podcast out of Calgary. The host, Randy Tyson, came on our show in episode 3, and we chatted for quite a long time. They're a really smart group and cover a great range of topics that are local as well as national or international. You can find them at legionofreason.com. I also have a couple Facebook shout-outs to give to Ken Fisher, Aaron Young, and James Benesh. It's always nice to have Facebook friends who like the page and interact with us, whether it be debate or ask questions. Some Twitter shout-outs. I've got Jason, which is at JAEKAR99, Daryl, at Root Beer Soup, Andrew Flynn, at Drew is a Writer, all one word, and The Infallible Word, ? At Gods_good_book. I've also got Larry Rhodes at Doubter5, Cameron Comstock at Cameron in SD, all one word, and Savoy Rochelle, I hope I said that right, at Mr. Rochelle 53. And that's it, so thanks again for listening.
Well, if we're anything, we're informed.
Ish.
Now it's time for lectures with Mike.
You are having random thoughts.
You're having a
I've
schizophrenic
observed
moment.
this.
Dave is real, right?
Dave's not here.
I'm
man.
not saying that anything. No.
Dave's not here, man.
Have you taken your meds today?
My carcinogen level is getting incredibly low. I'm drinking scotch as fast as I can, but that's just not cutting it.
Technical difficulty. We're okay. We're okay.
I can
back.
hear you speaking, but I can't see your mouth moving, Mike.
We're
It's
okay.
amazing.
I apologize.
No, I'm just good.
Don't feed the engineer alcohol anymore.
too fucking bad.
Too late.
I thought